This session is going to cover the inbound supply chain, essentially how the warehouse needs to be set up, the different options for receiving and put away, and some of the functionality that you can configure within Produmex WMS. Again, it's not intended to be comprehensive, but at least it's a good kind of primer for being able to understand what some of the capabilities are. So as we take a look at the organizational chart or organizational structure, what I've done here is, and we'll cover this much more in the detailed setup and configuration video, but as we take a look and as it relates to inbound, we have an organizational structure here, which at an overview here we have our warehouse, we have various zones throughout the warehouse. Of interest are going to be the dock zone, which is where I have a dock location that I'm going to receive into. So as I take a look at that, this dock location, which by the way is one of the organizational structure entities, dock, and we'll cover that in more detail in the later video. But essentially, if I'm bringing inbound product in, I want to have a dock that has it's active and it's unloading. And whether you want that inventory available for picking or not, you can configure based upon these two settings here. So if I'm going to receive and put it onto a dock and then go ahead and put it away using kind of an intelligent put away, then I would bring it into the dock itself. And then the system is going to go ahead and do a number of different things. Based upon how you configure your zones and your items, you can actually set up a default zone where products are going to go ahead and be put away. So as I take a look, and if I maximize the screen, I can see that for this particular item, I have set up the refrigerated zone. So this is, if I kind of minimize this, and you can see that it's an Irish organic salmon. There's a little bit of a user interface challenge here. Let's go ahead and just pop that back out. But anyways, so what I've done is I've actually created this item with a default distribution warehouse, a default zone where things should be put away when I receive it, so that when I go ahead and actually do the receiving and put away transaction, it's going to go ahead and pick a location in the zone that I have as a default. So in this case, either a refrigerated location 1, 2, or 3. Okay, that's kind of one way of configuring what the put away is going to be. The other way is if I look at my picking zone, for instance, if I'm looking at some of my fixed inventory or fixed item locations, I can go ahead and set the system up so that if I need to replenish one of my fixed bin picking locations, I can configure the system to suggest that I put away first to replenish this location up to its maximum level, and then put the remainder in a bulk zone or a bulk location or a non-fixed location. Now this plays hand in hand with, again, an item master configuration. So when we're talking about replenishment, whether it be from an inbound receipt or whether it be from the replenishment robot, it takes into account the fixed bin location, but it also takes into account a configuration on the item master in the Produmex tab, sales, of what quantity I want to have in pick locations. So I may have one primary picking location that's saying that I want 194 of them or 192, but I may in other pickable locations want to have another 308. And so the way I would configure that is by, on the item master, saying how many in total I want on the pick, all available pick locations. So just so you understand, when I'm doing an inbound, there is a rule that I can configure to say on my put away, do I want to go ahead and do the replenish picking locations first, or do I just want to have it tell me to go put it away in the most logical area, which may be by travel sequence or by the capacity of what can fit into a given location. And the way we configure that, by the way, in terms of capacity of what can fit in a given location, as I take a look here at this location, you can see my maximum logistics units is blank. What that means, and I don't have a fixed bin, this means I can fit as much as I want in there, meaning that I'm going to see when I get there how much I can fit in. If I have a maximum logistics units, it means that I can fit 48 of whatever it is I'm moving, whether that's cases or whether it's eaches. It all depends on the unit of measure that you're moving. So again, on the inbound side, I can either receive to a dock and use a put away, which is going to use the intelligence of how I've set up my item master for a default bin or location. It will use fixed bin locations, and it will use the replenishment of picking locations as kind of rules that it will go through in order to determine where to put the product. Okay, the other aspect is whether I want to use a two-step process for purposes of receiving. And when I say a two-step process, it's what I'm referring to, which is, do I want to go ahead and receive onto a dock and then go put away, or do I want to put directly away? That's controlled by the extension parameters, which is where we do a lot of configuration of the system. Again, we'll get into that in more detail. But for purposes of this discussion of the inbound, we would want to take a look at the generator for the purchase delivery note. So let me just find that here. Purchase delivery note generator. So there's a lot of configuration you can do here, and you can even put in whether you want to allow the user to put away to a location rather than receive into a dock or not. That is a setting in the system. And I also have kind of this cross-docking pick list type. So the concept of cross-docking being, if I have cross-docking active, and if I want to go ahead and receive products in that are linked to a sales order, it will automatically go ahead and generate the pick list for those products that have been received in on a purchase order for the sales orders that are awaiting their arrival. So the system does allow that. So just again, some capabilities that are controlled within the extension parameters, and in this case, the purchase delivery generator. All right, so let's go ahead and receive something in so we can see a little bit of what's going on. And I'm going to do some very basic operations here so that we can see how it works. So we'll go ahead and, you've seen entering a PO. We won't go into too much detail on that. Let's go ahead and receive some revved sweaters in, and let's go ahead and receive in some dry cured blend, which is just some product. And what we're going to do is say, hey, we're going to receive in 500 sweaters, and we'll receive in, 50 pounds of this dry cured mixture. So let's go ahead and just click add on that. And now as I go on to my handheld, we'll just go on to our handheld. We're going to go into the purchase area. We're going to go into reception. And now I'm going to go into order because I'm going to go ahead and receive by purchase order. I have a lot of purchase orders here. I happen to know that the purchase order I want to receive is $13.69. If I were needed to go ahead and kind of scan that, if I had a barcode report that I could scan that, I could do that. If I want to go ahead and kind of try to find it by vendor, I can go ahead and do that. So a number of different ways, but let's go ahead and just go straight into $13.69. Now, the first prompt you're given is whether you're receiving logistics units or not. Logistics units are either, let's say, a pallet or a case. In this case, I'm going to say that I'm going to receive 500, those 500 sweaters, I'm going to receive in 10 cases of 50. So in this case, I could say I have 10 cases of 50, so I'm going to do identical logistics units. I'm going to receive 10 of those cases, and I'm going to go ahead and scan the barcode. So if I happen to have the barcode for that particular item, and sorry about that, but if I happen to have the barcode for this is the logistics unit. So if I have an ASN and they happen to give me a GS1 label on that pallet, I can go ahead and scan that. In absence of that, I can go ahead and scan the barcode for that particular product. So in this case, it's the same as my product number. So if I had that in front of me and I could go ahead and scan it, I would go ahead and do that. And now it's telling me, hey, you've said you have 10 logistics units. You should have 50 in each one. Go ahead and receive those 50. So bam. And now it's saying, are there other products not on the logistics units that are not scanned? So that I've just received 10 cases of 50 in. So no, there are not. And now it's saying scan a destination location. So this is where the system is configured to allow the user to go and put this away immediately. If I have it set up properly using any of those configuration settings that I just covered, it would go ahead and tell me where to go ahead and best put that in an intelligent way. In this case, it's telling me that I can put it in a default location. It's finding the first empty location based upon the travel sequence, or I can go ahead and select another location. And in this case, I'm going to put it on the dock. It's going to ask me, do I want to print labels? Again, I have the opportunity to configure whether I want to print labels on the fly or not. I'm going to say no. And now it's going to say, okay, go ahead and receive the next item on that particular purchase order. So let's go ahead and receive those dry cure blend products. I don't happen to have a barcode on it, so I can go ahead and use the select a product. Again, I'm tapping on the handheld, and I'm going to ahead and select that item. This is a lot controlled item. It's asking me to capture the lot number, so I'm going to go ahead and just capture that lot number. We'll go ahead and make it to just today's date, 01. And it's asking me how many pounds I want. Oh, by the way, it's asking me to capture the best before date. So if I happen to set an item up as requiring a best before date, I can do that. You can see that it's capturing the batch number, the best before date, and the quantity to receive. And then I can go ahead and receive that in. Now, if I have GS1 labeling active, meaning that the supplier is sending me GS1 labeling, remember, I can go ahead and just scan that label, and it's going to progress through all those prompts for me. So now I've said no, that I want to print the label. What it's going to go ahead and do is actually create the inbound goods receipt note. That will take just a second. And what you'll notice here is it's actually in real time writing to SAP Business One, because we are talking directly to SAP Business One. And so now if I take a look at this PO, you'll notice that I've gone ahead and closed it out. If I go to my relationship map, I can go ahead and see my relationship map. There's my goods receipt PO. And there's what I've received. Again, if I look at just pretty basic stuff, my batch number transactions, I can see the batch numbers that were received. So pretty straightforward stuff. So that brought that product into the dock. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the inventory report of what's at the dock and see what the results of that receipt was. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I want to look at my dock location. Again, all of these have ellipses on them for being able to search, right? So I can go ahead and select from there. And we'll go ahead and see what we have out on the dock. Now I have a lot of stuff out on the dock. So if we take a quick look at these sweaters, you can see that I have those sweaters. They're all on the dock. They generated new SSC IDs, and that's for each case. And you'll notice that those are in a quarantine status. Now I have the option of being able to set up, if you will, default inspection quality statuses per item. So if I wanted to go ahead and if I took a look at this particular product, I could say that, hey, on purchases, I want to have, when I receive it, I want to have everything be in a quarantine status and then allow it to be set to released. I also have the opportunity or ability, if I just kind of stretch the screen a bit, to go ahead and say that by supplier on the inbound side, I can set up a separate quality status. So if I'm trying a new supplier for a particular product, I can define them as requiring inspection, or setting it to quarantine and requiring inspection, and then I can go ahead and have the default be released. So I have different ways that I can control the quality status as it's coming in. So as I take a look at this, if I want to go ahead and just release those because I had inspected them, I can go ahead and change the quality status on those. You'll notice I'm able to operate from this inventory report. Just go ahead and select rows and say, hey, I want to go ahead and release those. And here it's saying I need a reason to release them. So it's, hey, it's all good. QC cleared. And then it's going to go ahead and change the status on all of those so that I can move forward and go ahead and put them away. So as we take a look, points to understand is that on this inventory report, I have a lot of functionality. We'll go into that in a bit more detail. But so as I take a look, I've now received this product in. You can see the products that I just received into the dock, and there's their specific SSC numbers. Now, when we talk about intelligent put away, the next step in this would be go ahead and put that product away. Now, as I take a look at it, this is coming up with, you can see I have a lot of products on the dock to go ahead and put away. But essentially what this is saying is that you would print the label, you would have it on the case or on the pallet, and you would then go ahead and just scan that. And so since this is all GS1 labeled, there's some embedded code. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of key this in. And it's asking me, now I've selected this dry cure blend, right? It's asking me, do I want to move this case all in one move? If I say no, then it's going to go ahead and break that apart, break this quantity apart from this SSCC and kind of disassociate it so that will from that point on be moving an item, a lot, and a quantity around rather than being able to move it by this SSCC or license plate. In this case, I'm going to say yes. And again, it's going to go ahead and recommend the location. In this case, I can go ahead and just say I'm going to walk up to B003, which is my just kind of a bulk location. Go ahead and scan that, and now it's moved that product. So again, as we look at this whole concept, I can do this either using the put away process, which is what I used here, or I can go ahead and use an ad hoc movement, meaning that I would go into logistics, I would go into move, I would say I want to move ad hoc locally within the warehouse. I want to take a full logistics unit. I'm going to walk up to that logistics unit. I'm going to scan it. Let's take 4713. Again, it's going to recommend a location. I'm going to walk up to the location that I want to put that away in. So I can say 0201, scan it, and it will tell me if there are rules set up that I shouldn't have put that in that location, whether the location's full, whether it's not set up logically or is reserved for another product. It will tell you that that location's not available and that I can't put it there. But if I go ahead then and just say, okay, I'm going to put it in 010102, it will go ahead and say that that was moved to that particular location. So if I go ahead and refresh the screen, which you'll notice I have the ability to refresh the screen, I'll see that my dry cure in that particular SSCC have now been moved and put away based upon the rules that I've set up between the organizational structure. So again, I control a lot of things through the organizational structure and where I want things to go based either on zone, based upon fixed items, based upon replenishment quantities, and also based upon different rules that I set up in the extension parameters themselves. So hopefully that gives you a bit of information on the inbound receipt. The last piece is whether we're going to go ahead and do cross-docking. That is, as I had explained, controlled on the creation or generation of the purchase order delivery generator. So this is again generating the goods receipt note, and whether I'm saying that I'm going to go ahead and activate cross-docking, and then whether I want to automatically set up processing for generating the pick lists that are related to cross-docked orders, meaning that the system will handle, when it's configured, inbound purchase orders, automatically generating pick lists for sales orders that are awaiting the inventory that's inbound. So hopefully that gives you enough insight into the inbound process. Again, we'll have some additional configuration video, but this should allow you to at least get through the process of being able to issue a purchase order, understand some of the logic behind intelligent put away, and how to execute the put away and move order. That's it for now. See you on the next video.